To go, it's a mitzvah to go to Yerushalayim and tell the Bezdin, I saw the moon. So what happens if it's Friday night? You would normally think, well, why should I be Machal Shabbos? Somebody living in Jerusalem will go. Why do I have to go? But no, you're allowed to go beyond the Tchum. You're allowed to even take, if it's a longer journey than it's comfortable without eating anything, you can take a lunchbox with you. You can take a change of clothes with you. If you are a chiger, you can take a cane. Or if you're bedridden and you happen to have seen the moon, they can carry you on a journey. And two other guys who could carry you, or it could be Michal Shabbos. But according to Shnei Chadashim Michal Nesa Shabbos, this is only true about Nisan and Al Nisan the Al Tishrei. To go to Yerushalayim and tell them I saw the moon on Friday night, you could Shabbos to get there, so
Good morning.
Morning, Steve.
I got nothing yesterday.
Say again.
I couldn't get on yesterday. I got nothing.
Either could I. Either could I. And I wasn't on the computer and I couldn't get on. I thought it was me in the car because I was not in the car. And I said, oh well. And no matter
there was nothing on there.
Nope. Never came on. I thought it was me. I guess not. Oh well. we'll see what happens today. They'll be on shortly.
Time will tell.
I think Sunday, Ken will be back.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, he should be back today. He's back in Boca today, so we'll see. Yesterday, he got a taste of his own. No, 2 days ago, he got a taste of his own uh, uh, burr. Someone interrupted him. And he said, no, one moment, I'm getting to that in about 2 minutes.
I heard.
I thought that was funny. Who said, told him that.
He's great, though. He really is. He's just.
One thing I never tried, the recordings.
They're there.
I know, I don't know how to get to them.
Just go on the Torah website.
Oh, go back there. Okay.
Yep,
Very
they're
good.
there.
I
In
wonder if
fact,
there
you'll
was,
see your picture and my picture there.
I wonder if they would, if yesterday's was there also, if they actually recorded it, even though we didn't see it.
It only takes a couple of days to get it up there, though.
Uh-huh.
Not up there immediately. Yeah.
Okay, I'll find it. I know where it is. Oh, well. No, running late again.
Yeah, it is.
Make a call and see if there's anyone there. No answer.
That is strange. Let's just start. I'm going to go back a couple of lines on previous page, and it says a ruling was sent from Eretz Israel to Ukra. See that? The Adar immediately precedes Nisan is always short, both in regular year and in the leap year. The first Adar in leap year, which does not immediately precede Nisan, is sometimes full. Are you there? I'm lost.
Say again, Steve. Where are you?
Are there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Are they there?
No,
They're coming
they're
on?
no one. No, they're not there yet.
Yes, so then let's just go on with ourselves. We can look at it.
Okay. Where do you want to start? Let's go back.
Let's just go back to a couple of lines there on the previous page because it picks up there right then. There's a ruling was sent from Yitzhak to Ma'ukva.
Marukvar, okay, at the end there, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adar, next to Nissan.
There immediately precedes Nisan is always short, both in the regular year and in leap year. First Adar in the leap year, which does not immediately precede Nisan, is sometimes full. Nachman raised an objection from what was taught in the Mishnah. Witnesses who saw the new moon may desecrate Shabbat for fixing of the new moon for 2 months, for the month of Nisan and for the month of Tishrei, due to the important festivals that occur in them. Granted, if you say that Adar immediately preceding Nisan is sometimes full and sometimes short, due to that reason, witnesses may desecrate Shabbat. But it goes on and says, but if you say that Adar immediately preceding Nisan is always short, why should they desecrate Shabbat? The court can calculate the time of the new moon without witnesses. And now here this is interesting because it says that the Gemara answers because it's a mitzvah to sanctify the new moon on the basis of testimony of witnesses who actually saw the new moon and not rely on calculations or established practices. It's not what we do today. We rely on calculations and established practices. All right.
I'm surprised
Some
they
say that,
never,
yeah.
yeah. I'm really surprised that the Sanhedrin never got together or enough people, enough coladors didn't revise the calculations. The fact is that you don't need sightings at this point. You know, that
Yeah.
the science.
Exactly opposite of what they're saying.
Yeah, I know.
Some say that Rav Nachman, we too learn that witnesses who saw them may desecrate Shabbat to establish the new moon for 2 months. The month of Nisan for Tishrei. Granted, if you say that the Adar preceding Nisan is always short due to the reason witnesses may desecrate Shabbat, because it's a mitzvah to sanctify them on the basis of testimony of witnesses who actually saw the new moon.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say that the Adar is sometimes full and sometimes short, then there's no regularity. Why should the witnesses desecrate Shabbat? And the court add an extra day to the month now and let the members sanctify the next day as the new moon. Mara rejects the argument. If the 30th of the Adar falls on Shabbat, this is indeed what's done. Here we're dealing with the 31st of Adar when it falls on Shabbat. So the sanctification of the new moon cannot be pushed off to the next day, as the month cannot be longer than 30 days. In that case, the witnesses may desecrate Shabbat because it's a mitzvah to sanctify the month based on testimony of witnesses who actually saw the new moon. So it's being restated. But Rav Kahana raised an objection from the continuation of the Mishnah. When the temple was standing, the witnesses would desecrate Shabbat for establishing the new moon, even for all the months, in order to rectify the offering of the new moon. to ensure that's the proper time. So from the fact that the reason that the witnesses are permitted to desecrate Shabbat for all of the other months is not because it's a mitzvah to sanctify the moon based on testimony, the witnesses who saw the new moon, that with regard to Nisan and Tishrei as well, the witnesses are permitted to desecrate Shabbat for another reason, and not because it's a mitzvah to sanctify the new moon based on the testimony of witnesses who saw the new moon. So granted, if you say that Adar is sometimes full and sometimes short, due to the reason that witnesses may desecrate Shabbat, but if you say that Adar is always short, why should they desecrate Shabbat? Well, so they're saying that the Gemara concludes that this is indeed a conclusive refutation to the proof brought by Rab Nachman. Where that when Ula came from Eretz Israel to Babylonia, he said this year they added an extra day to the month of Elul. Ula continued and said, do our Babylonian colleagues understand what benefit we did for them? We pushed off Rosh Hashanah for a day so that the festival would not occur adjacent to Shabbat. So what's the benefits, the Gemara asks, in having a weekday between Shabbat and the festival? Noah responded that due to the vegetables that would not be picked for 2 days and those picked beforehand, that would no longer be fresh. Rabbi Achla the Hanina said, due to the dead who would not be buried for 2 days and consequently would begin to decompose. So they're coming up with different answers. So Gemara begins back. What's the practical difference between these two concerns? The Gemara answers, the practical difference between them is the case where Yom Kippur occurs directly after Shabbat. According to the one who said that the reason is due to the dead that would go unburied for 2 days, the court adds an extra day to Elul so that Yom Kippur will not occur on Sunday. But according to the one who said that the reason is due to the vegetables that would not be fresh, there's no need to add an extra day. When would he require the vegetables? Only in the evening, following Yom Kippur. And if Yom Kippur falls on Sunday, he can go out in the evening after the fast and bring fresh vegetables. Gemara asks, but according to the one who says the reason is due to vegetables, the court should still make a little due to the dead. And this is an important consideration also. So the practical difference between them, obviously, is regard to the case where the festival of Rosh Hashanah occurs adjacent to Shabbos, either before it or after it. And according to the one who said that the reason is due to vegetables that would wither, the court adds an extra day to Elul. But according to the one who said that the reason is due to the dead that would go unburied, there's no reason to make Elul full, because on a festival it is possible to arrange that the dead be buried by Gentiles. Wow. Different take. The Gemara asks,
The word about
what's that?
eating and burying. That was it.
But according to the one who says that the reason is due to the dead, the court should still add an extra day to Elul due to the vegetables. Gemara answers, according to him, this is not an important consideration because it's possible to soak the withered vegetables in hot water and thereby restore their freshness. See, now we're learning how to cook best.
Right.
The Gemara again asks, if so, what's the difference about those who live in Babylonia and those who live in Israel? And so Lewis said that adding an extra day to Elul was beneficial to us. In Babylonia, it was beneficial to them as well. Gemara says, for us in Babylonia, the weather is very hot, so the vegetables wither and corpses decompose quickly. But for them in Israel, the weather's not so hot. And vegetables and corpses can be kept for 2 days. It was taught above that for various reasons a month can have an extra day added, even if the new moon was seen on the night before the 30th. The Gemara challenges this assumption. If that's so, but didn't Rabbi bar Shmuel teach in Baraita? One might have thought that just as the court adds an extra month to a year for some pressing communal needs, so too the court adds an extra day to a month for some similar need. Therefore, the verse states, "This month shall be to you the beginning of months." This teaches that when there's a moon like this, see it and sanctify the month. When the new moon is seen, the month must be sanctified without delay.
Hey, Steve,
Yep.
what are you reading from?
I'm reading from a copy of the William Davidson Talmud translation.
Interesting. I like that one better than the actual Gemara itself, because the wording is much easier to read.
Yeah, it really goes and lays it out in a way that, and
Right.
I'm not reading, I'm just skipping through.
Right. I noticed that. I know. I'm saying, boy, you translate very well. I'm saying, how is that possible? You must be reading from something. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm reading the William Davidson Talmud,
Interesting.
which is what I've been reading from.
All right. Very
Uh,
well.
Yeah, Rava said this is not difficult. Here it's speaking of adding an extra day to the month, which is permitted, whereas there's no speaking of sanctifying the month on the 30th, although the new moon was not seen yet, which is prohibited. And this is what Braita is saying. One might have thought that just the court adds a year or a month in pressing community, and so too a month can be sanctified early. But the verse states, "This month shall be to you the beginning of months," which teaches only when the moon appears like this, we see it and sanctify the month, not before. So it's, again, relying on visual seeing the moon and not on any calculation.
Right.
The Gemara comments that this is like what Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said. The court must intimidate witnesses through rigorous and continuing examination so that they will give inadmissible testimony about the new moon that was seen in its due time, the 30th of the month. This is so the court can add an extra day to it, and the new moon will be sanctified on the 31st day. But the court may not intimidate witnesses into giving testimony about the new moon that was not seen in its due time in order to sanctify the new moon early. So the court can discredit a witness by going and effectively berating. It's very interesting.
Interesting.
The Gemara asks, is that so? But didn't Rabbi Yeshua Messiah, who was the Nasi of Sanhedrin, send a message to Rabbi Ami? Be aware that all the days of Rabbi Yochanan, he would teach us that witnesses may be intimidated into giving testimony about the new moon that was not seen in its due time. This was done in order that the new month may be sanctified early, already on the 30th. Although the witnesses did not see the moon, they may say, "We saw it." I love it. Abaye said, "This is not difficult. This ruling is referring to Nisan and Tishrei, which may be sanctified early in order to set the festivals that occur in the months that ruling is referring to other months, which may not be sanctified early." Rava said, that which Rabbi bar Shmuel taught, court may not lengthen or shorten moons. Which follows the opinion of the Acharim, as it's taught in the Baraita. The Acharim say the difference between the festival of Shavuos of one year and the festival of Shavuos of the following year, and similarly between Rosh Hashanah of one year and Rosh Hashanah of the following year, is only 4 days of the week. There are 354 days in a lunar year. They're divided into 12 alternating months, 6 months that are 30 days and 6 months that are 29 days long. Therefore, every year is 50 weeks and 4 days long. And if it was a leap year, in which case the year is comprised of 383 days or 54 weeks and 5 days, there's a difference of 5 days between them. Rav Dimi from Nahadra thought the Braita is the opposite manner. The court may intimidate the witnesses into giving testimony about the new moon that was not seen in its due time in order that the new moon may be sanctified early, already on the 30th. But the court may not intimidate witnesses so that they do not give accessible testimony about the new moon that was seen in its due time, in order to add an extra day to the old month. So what's the reason, the Gemara asks, without Dimi's opinion? Intimidating witnesses into testifying about something that they did not see is worse than intimidating them to withhold testimony about seeing something that they did see. This case going on in the page, in this case where the witnesses would hold testimony about what they saw and the new moon is pushed off to the next day, it looks like a lie. The new moon may have been seen by others as well, and people will wonder why the new moon was not sanctified the previous day. In that case, where the witnesses testify about something that they did not see, the new moon's a day early, it does not look like a lie, as everybody knows that it's possible that only a few people saw the new moon. Rule said, I'm able to fix the calendar for the entire diaspora without witnesses. Rule was an expert on the movement of the celestial bodies and on the principles governing leap years and additional days added to months. So here's the coming to change. Abba, the father of Rav Simlai, said to Shmuel, does the master know the meaning of the statement as it's taught in Braita, dealing with the secret of addition, which discusses the calendric calculations, differentiate between when the molad occurred before midday and when the molad occurred after midday? He said to him, no, I do not know what this means. He said to him, since the master does not know this, there are probably other matters that the master does not know, and therefore you must not establish a calendar relying upon calculations that were made based on faulty or insufficient knowledge. Wow. As for the meaning of the obscure Braita, when Rabbi Zera went up from Babylonia to Eretz Israel, he sent back a letter to his colleagues. In order to sanctify the days, it's necessary that both the night and the day be of the new month. So the molad must occur before the beginning of the night. This is what Abba, the father of Rabbi Simlai, said. They calculate the molad. If the molad occurred before midnight, it's known that it will be visible close to sunset. If the molad did not occur before midday, so that there are fewer than 6 hours left of the day, it's known that the moon will not be visible close to sunset. Gemara asks, what's the practical difference between the statement it makes? In any case, witnesses, the testimony of witnesses. Ravashi said this information is used to refute the witnesses. So the witnesses are saying that the moon is not, they saw the new moon when it's not possible to see it according to calculations. They're false witnesses. The Zera said that Rav Nachum had said, for 24 hours the moon is covered. It's not visible. This occurs between the last sighting of the old moon and the first sighting of the new moon. For us in Babylonia, it's not visible for 6 hours of the old moon and 18 hours of the new. For them in Eretz Israel, it's not visible for 6 hours of the new moon and 18 hours of the old. The Gemara asks, what's the practical difference that the statement makes? Ravashi said it's used to refute the witnesses. So it's as if they saw 2 moons. the old and the new, within a single 24 hours period, they're certainly false witnesses. The Master said above, in order for the day to be sanctified of the new moon, it's necessary that both the night and the day be of the new moon. Mar asked, from where do we derive this? Rab Nachman said, from evening to evening shall you celebrate the Shabbat. This teaches that the day follows the night for all the calculations pertaining to the festivals and the new moon. Rav Lakish said, it's derived from the verse that states, in the first moon, in the first month of the 14th day of the month, at the evening you shall not eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at the evening. This teaches that the festival terminates at the end of the day, and a new day begins in the evening. When I asked what's the practical difference between the two derivations, Baya said there's no practical difference between them. The interpretation, the meaning of the verse is the difference between them. Baba said there's a practical difference between them with regard to the hours before midnight. So there's been a discussion looking back about eating bread, unleavened bread on Passover. It's an obligation only on the first night until midnight. And the discussion of when it's required, and accordingly, if the moon was seen at the beginning of the night of the 30th can still be sanctified as a new moon. But with regard to the extra festival day that's observed in the diaspora, Rab Zera said, Rab Nachman said, any time that an extra festival day is observed out of uncertainty with regard to the calendar, we cast it forward. It's observed on the following day and not on the preceding day. That's to say, owing to the uncertainty, we observe the Sukkot in the diaspora on the 15th and the 16th of Tishrei, not on the 14th. So the Gemara asks again, but why not observe it also on the 14th, as perhaps both the month of Av and the month of Elul were made short? In that case, the day that is considered the 14th of Tishrei in the diaspora would actually be the 15th of Tishrei, and therefore it should also be observed as Sukkot. And going on to the next page, the Gemara answers, it's a rare occurrence that 2 consecutive months are made short, and this would generate publicity so that everyone would know about it anyway. Interesting.
Eventually, they'll standardize the calendar. But, it's amazing how well versed these guys, they were at the time.
It's very, very interesting. And I have trouble with basic arithmetic, so I'm not standardizing any calendar.
Right.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Well, I wish you a good Shabbos.
Well, have a good Shabbos, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your teaching,
Thank you for my company.
and we'll see you on Sunday. All right. You
I hope
take
so.
care.
All the best.
All
Take
right.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.